Well, we're here today, Mark Robinson and Michael, for two young lads that you know well, Jack Currie and Elliott Bolton, signing pro deals. First of all, Mark, what attributes do they bring?
Well, Jack is incredibly athletic, very, very fit, gets up and down for 90 minutes, really, really good quality on the ball. So, Jack is just very much a modern day left back, but he's also, very competitive, loves a tackle. He's not the tallest, but he's very good in the air. And he's got a long throw, so, he's got all the attributes as a left back, left wing back. Elliott he just reads the game unbelievably well. Probably the most intelligent player I've ever worked with. Reads the game so well. We're working a lot on his distribution, which is, he's really improved on. And it's always been a project for us because we know physically he's always been a little bit behind everyone else. But we're confident that given the time that he needs, because he's so intelligent and reads the game so well, and can affect games. When I had him at youth team level, when Elliott played, it was quite simple. We won. When he didn't play, we didn't, because he affects games in such a way. So he needs that little bit of time. The lad's got great attributes.
We've obviously heard the story about Elliott and the mascot link from the start of AFC Wimbledon. Obviously, he's been a big part of this club, but so too is Jack. How much do they sum up what this club is all about?
Yeah, I think it's really important to emphasise that these aren't emotional decisions. These are based on their talent. The fact that they've been here so long just adds to it, and it just adds to the fact of how much they care about the club, and they're genuine Wimbledon boys, and they just dream about playing for the club. So the stories are great, and they add extra to it, but fundamentally they're at the club and they're being signed because of what they do on the pitch.
And turning to Michael, we were just talking about when you first came on board at Wimbledon, just over there the exclusive talks took place, didn't he? Tell us about that.
Yeah, it would have been 2008. Yeah. The academy looked very different then. It wasn't a Football League academy at the time, and Robbo was holding trials for the new intake for the under-18s. Yeah. So I must have seen over 100 boys over a couple of days. Yeah. And I come down and watched, and we sat down after training, spoke football for hours, and I don't know what happened, but here I am. So 12 years later.
Weeks. So if he's on it, I badgered him for weeks because he was at Millwall at the time, and I badgered him for weeks for him to come because we were non-league. Yeah. But thankfully he come over.
Yeah. I was going to say we know how persuasive Robbo can be, but was there more to it than just Robbo's persuasive abilities?
Yeah, no. Anyone that knows Robbo knows he's a great developer, and he's a very good coach, and you can see that. I come down and watch sessions or two, and you can see straight away. And I was young in my coaching journey. Yeah. I was at Millwall at the time, and it was quite clear that Robbo was going to be someone I was going to learn under and develop under. So, Wimbledon at the time were steamrolling for non-league. Yeah. We never knew they were going to be League One sitting here now, but it was quite clear, they were heading somewhere. And I looked at the project, I looked at Robbo as a leader of the academy, and I just knew as a young coach coming through, he was someone that I wanted to learn under.
And in terms of the boys today, you've obviously seen so many players come through the system, and now you've been academy manager for a year. How well does this progress them to move forward in their careers?
It's great, but they've achieved nothing. It's just the next step into where they want to get to. And the boys are fully aware of that. We do quite a big job of that in the academy, of letting them know, look, your contract is just the next milestone. You haven't actually achieved anything. But going back, what Robbo said, these aren't emotional decisions. These are two very talented boys. And the one thing we've got to do really, really well is make sure we give them the time and the opportunity they need as individuals to get to where they need to get to. Because you've got two very different cases here. Jack Currie's, as Robbo said, like a modern day left back. He's very good, and he's Robbo's done a lot of work over the last few months in terms of getting his mind right and letting Jack know that he's got the capabilities. He's just got to focus and roll his sleeves up. And Elliott's a little bit different. Elliott's a little resilient character. I say little, he's bigger than me, but he's he's a resilient holding midfielder. Probably doesn't get the credit he deserves. But his pathway might be a little bit different, and that's the way it is with young players coming through. But there's no doubt in my mind, if we're patient and we give them what they need, then in the next couple of years, and it will be a couple of years, it won't be 12 months, in some cases it might be slightly longer, we will have two very talented players one day stepping out into the new plough lane and in Elliott's case, it'll be quite romantic because he was the club's first ever mascot.
Yeah, and the younger scholars coming through, how much of an example does it set these lads that it can be achieved?
Everything. We always feel with academy players coming through, you're always going to get an extra 5-10%, which you can't really measure it. And these two boys, in terms of homegrown and hungry, these two boys epitomise that. At the moment, it means nothing because it's just a pro contract, and they've not gone out there and done anything yet. But in terms of being leaders and carrying the homegrown and hungry ethos and setting the standards for the ones below, there's no two better boys than this. If you ask the boys, there's rumours that Elliott was born with a Wimbledon top on, so that's how much the club needs for him.
Robbo, the lads are a bit older, obviously, with your loans manager cap on. We've put the news up on the website, we've seen a lot go out. What's the latest now? Has everyone gone out? Ready now at the moment?
No, we've still got a couple. We've got a couple of lads. There's one you'll probably hear about next week that's been done, which is a really good loan for that player. And then there's two that are training with clubs at the moment, as well as training with the first team. But once they're done, then we'll be done. Jack's out at Leatherhead, as you know, and he's already been getting man of the match awards and performing brilliantly. And Elliott had his first 2 games for Merstham. Well, he impressed in some pre-season games, and the manager took him in. And the first 2 games, he's got man of the match both games, which is great. And people have said to me about the levels they're going out at. So those 2 lads are out at step 3. But for their first loans at 18, it's a good level. If you look at the players that we've taken in recently, like Nesta, that was the level that we signed him at, and he's, I believe, 21. Ethan, another excellent signing we've made. I watched him play a couple of years ago at Met Police, same level, step 3, and I think Eve's 22, 23. So these boys at 18 playing at that level, if they can impress, the signs are only good, and then it's up to me to decide if that challenge point needs to be taken up a step, and that's what we've done. If you look at example for Zach and I, who went out early, they're the same age, but they had loans early at step 3, they might go out a step higher. But as Mike said, everyone's pathway is different, but for them to go out at that level, I don't think people should underestimate it. You've seen ourselves, our first team have played teams of that level in the FA Cup. I know it's one-off games, but found it very difficult. So at their age now, to go out at step 3 is a good enough level for them. If they can impress, I think we should be excited about those signs. And as I said, then it's up to me to manage it and make sure I keep getting the levels right until they find that pathway into the first team.
What's it been like for you establishing links with local clubs? A lot of good relationships formed there. Hectic?
It's non-stop, really. It's really hectic, and I think all these managers as well, what you have to remember, they have their own aspirations as managers. So when you're getting loans out, it's okay looking at what we want from it, but they've got their own aspirations, they've got their own, probably want to manage higher. So you've got to make sure you can't just send players out for 6 games and then keep dragging them back. They've got to get a value out of it. So building those relationships is so important. I feel like I'm doing that now. They're starting to trust me, they're coming to me and asking me about players. So it's going to be an ongoing thing, but no, I'm excited about where it's going to go. But obviously, as well as being in the first team, it keeps me busy. But I just want to build the best loans department we can, so that all the work that Mike and all the lads are doing at the academy, when it comes to that real important age, that we don't go missing. That we've got something that backs up that pathway and gives them a real genuine pathway into the first.
Well, it's great to hear from both of you about the future direction of the club and the youngsters coming through. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.